So part of what I want to throw back to you to decide is just how important this actually is, but it's not an accident. I mean, we've been around in sports in the social media age long enough to know that this is not an accident or nothing. He took Philadelphia out of his location, which he had set on Twitter, and I believe he had some sort of like Sixers center or like something like that, like a lot of athletes do. And that has gone too. He has updated the location to be the city in Cameroon that he, I believe, was born in or lived in. So, kind of doing a little bit of fix up there to make it seem like a natural thing. But again, not an accident. So I'll ask you, if it's not an accident and it's very obvious that he did this, is it important? Does it matter? How sloppy are we talking here?
I feel like this is like, if we were watching I Think You Should Leave, this is like a very sloppy steak.
Okay.
Joel Embiid is one of those guys that I just don't feel like this stuff is never not intentional. I just think this guy on social media, in his public persona, in what he says and what he doesn't say, how he carries himself, I think it's all very intentional. He remembers things. Like, this isn't a guy to me that didn't, like the rest of us, see the James Harden thing on social media. I'm sure he's pretty pissed about it. I'm sure he has some feelings about it. He hasn't said anything publicly. We haven't got like an interview with him. We haven't seen like a real comment. This is like the closest thing we have to. So maybe that's why I'm putting value in this. But it's something, because he strikes me as a guy that is going to do this stuff intentionally. And I don't, I think there are a lot of guys that have. Look, maybe this is something deep down that is just like, hey, his brand manager, there's like there's something with his shoe coming, and it's going to be Cameroon focused or something, and that's what this is, and it's just like a business thing. That, like, there are guys whose socials are just run by they have a team, and I think a lot of people just do have a team overseeing their socials. It's just with them.
Even if it's that, it's like,
it's weird. I mean, it's the timing.
You got to get out in front of it in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Like the people who would run it don't live under a rock. They got to know how this is going to be seen,
So that's what I'm getting at. So it's like you didn't put out like a teaser video or something. There's just something like there's some annoyance here. That's the only way I can read what's going on here. This feels like, does it actually mean anything? Like, I don't think it's hard to ascribe value to any of the social media stuff. Sometimes it just is, because it's just like when a rapper or a musician deletes all their posts and then puts up because they're getting for new albums. Like, is this that? Is this just annoyance? Like, I don't know, but it's something.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I agree. It's intentional. I just think after sitting on the Harden stuff and thinking about Philadelphia after we talked about it a little bit a couple days ago on the first episode of the week, that I don't know why the Sixers wouldn't be doing every possible single thing that they can do to trade for Damian Lillard right now. And I was thinking about Tyrese Maxey a little bit more, who we've talked about, and we did an episode of guys who shouldn't be traded, who should be traded but won't be, and I had Maxey on that list. With the level of desperation that you're kind of now facing as the Sixers, and not just because Joel Embiid changed his Twitter stuff, but after the Harden thing, the fact that he called Morey out, the fact that Morey has really not done an amazing job building this team, I think it would be clear you'd have to say, hired the wrong coach, ended up with Ben Simmons gone. Role players are good but not great. Drafting, you got Maxey, but that's it. This is the swing you have to make right now. Seemed like they popped up in the Lillard sweepstakes at the very beginning, and then he made it clear he wanted to go to Miami. But if Portland's sitting there waiting for an offer that's better, I'm not really sure if Maxey is different than Hero, but he isn't paid yet. Maybe there's a little more value there. Maybe Maxey to a third team makes more sense. Whatever it is, the Sixers should be giving Portland the offer that they've been waiting for that's not the Miami Heat's offer in order to salvage this situation.
Have we ever seen Daryl Morey in a position where things were this desperate for him? Like, is when he traded for Russell Westbrook the same as this? Or is this worse?
I think when he traded for Russell Westbrook, he already knew he was on his way out, because that trade made no sense. And it's just not how Morey has ever done anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even joking. I think a lot of people assumed that at the time was like, he must see the writing on the wall that this is kind of the last Harden year, and then he's probably gone.
Yeah. That and Morey might have thought he was gone too. This feels like new territory. And Brendon, this is one of the things about general managers that I don't think it's not the easiest thing for us to talk about, because like what we can see, it's not something we can see. It's not even something reporting on. You're always going to get, I think, really great info on. It doesn't work that way when you talk to people about it, because it's something that I understand why it doesn't get talked about a lot. But for me, I think one of the things we don't understand enough about all the general managers and decision makers in the league and have enough insight on is how they are as people persons. Or like how well they are at actually interacting with people. Because I think a big part of being a coach, but also an executive, is managing relationships with agents, managing relationships with players, managing relationships so like that if things do get haywire, you can weather these storms. You know, like in my backyard, let's say, one of the things about Kobe Altman that doesn't always make sense to me has been like how he handled the Kevin Love stuff, how just like it didn't seem like any of the players for a certain stretch just like didn't trust him for whatever reason. Like there just seems like something a little off in the people interactions at times. It just has felt that way from the outside looking in. Daryl Morey has never struck me as someone who is like great at like not seeing these guys as assets at times and managing actual relationships and like understanding
not to cut you off, but I think we absolutely know what Daryl Morey's people skills are. They're bad. That's his number one knock. He's awful at that part of the job, and he's gotten
except with Harden
blowback
apparently.
Pretty often for it.
Yeah. So I guess it's trying to be generous, but this is like the ultimate.
It's not like you're throwing punches at somebody who's never like just making stuff up. That's out there.
Sure.
That's very. I mean, Chris Paul said on the record. He told me 1 week prior to going to the Oklahoma City Thunder, not that I wouldn't be traded, period, that I would specifically not be traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then Daryl Morey did exactly that 1 week afterward. I mean.
So, okay, I'd forgotten about that. So, okay, I amend what I've said, that Daryl Morey like maybe just sucks at dealing with people. This is the ultimate test case of like, hey, you have the next guy that a lot of team would want to give up a bunch of stuff for. Can you keep him happy enough to keep him from not being really pissed off at you because James Harden's calling him a liar and you botched the best chance at a co-star has, or you can go get him Dame Lillard to replace Harden, even if that also means losing Maxey. Like this is just and he just hired a new coach. Like there's just so much on the line here for Morey, and like how he holds this together is going to be fascinating. Like I understand the players drive the league. I understand that intrigue is up here compared to what I'm kind of getting at. But I think that is one of the most vital things that in sports broadly, but unless for our context, the NBA right now, that to me is one of those things that I don't think we talk about enough. And that this is a big moment for Daryl Morey, like absolutely being able to be a leader in his organization.
Yeah, I think his future in the NBA is on the line. He's only 50, but he has one conference finals appearance to his name as an executive. He rebuilt the Rockets. He sort of helped reset the Sixers and is already running up against it here. At a certain point, the wonderkind, nerd Elvis, dork Elvis stuff doesn't just take you as far as it used to when your actual success doesn't match up. If he botches this, if he really does lose it with Embiid and the Sixers blow up, he's clearly getting fired here, and I'm not sure what amount of other teams would want him. I mean, you never say never. Owners get convinced to try stuff. He's obviously very smart, knows what he's doing with this stuff, but I don't think that his future is guaranteed in the league. So it obviously will spark a fire for him, but it doesn't seem like there's much of an out here unless they can swing for somebody like Lillard, or I guess find a way to bring Harden back. I don't know if that would satisfy Embiid though.
Yeah, I don't know. And also, I don't think Morey has like a Bob Myers to ESPN. Like, he doesn't strike me as someone who would be particularly good at being on television.
No. I mean, if anyone's ever heard him on a podcast, he's very forthcoming, very kind of jokey and light, but he sounds like a nerd. He sounds like a dude in a lab coat. I mean, I'm not going to be. It's not like it's a bad thing. Well, it's just what he sounds like. Those people don't go on TV. There's a reason like. TV people are TV people. He's not one of those.
Coming up next on First Take.
Teach classes or something like Sam Hinkie does.
Coming up next on First Take, Stephen A. and Daryl Morey are going to debate Dak Prescott and his future with the Cowboys. Does he have the clutch gene? That's coming up next.
Also, if he ever appeared on any show like that, the amount of skewering over the analytics revolution would just get ugly. Like, he would just be the punching bag for everything everybody's ever gotten angry about with analytics in the NBA. He already is, but he gets to hide behind being a team employee. So like he needs to have a future in the league. He wants to have a future in the league. He has a very cushy job in Philadelphia that he kind of hand selected, and if he can't keep this team together when so much was set up for them to dominate for years, then he deserves to be on the outs.
So a Perk and Daryl Morey podcast is not something you think he's interested in. Perk, Swagoo, and Morey.
I mean, anything's possible.
Okay.
The worldwide leader. They've pulled rabbits out of hats before. Maybe that's what is needed to save ESPN.